Types of ineffective listening. Please follow along in your textbook, looking out, looking in, starting on page 309.
Poor listening is an imitation of true listening in which the receiver's mind is elsewhere. The listener will look like they are listening, but they are actually focused on something else. This is an example of pseudo-listening in healthcare. The patient is telling the doctor some very important information. The doctor looks like he is listening, but actually he is thinking about something else. This can be dangerous because the doctor is not focusing on the patient. Stage hogging is a listening style in which the receiver is more concerned with making a point than understanding the speaker. This is seen as them always changing the subject back to themselves or what they want to talk about. An example of stage hogging in healthcare. We see that the patient is telling the doctor information, but the doctor is changing the subject to focus on himself instead of focusing on the patient.
Selective listening is when a person only responds to topics they find interesting, but ignore everything else the speaker says. For example, when a patient is talking, the doctor may only respond to when the patient describes his or her symptoms, not whatever else he or she is saying. Insulated listening is when a person avoids talking about a certain topic. They may acknowledge that the speaker said something, but usually they just ignore it. For example, a lab technologist is very busy and tries to avoid talking about the lab tests that need to be finished when doctors are asking for results. The technologist will acknowledge what the doctors say, but will usually ignore it and get back to work.
Defensive listening. This listener thinks the speaker is out to get them and reads into every word that is being said to try to decipher if it is a personal insult. Defensive listening is important because we are so afraid of being taken in by other people's thoughts and ideas.
This is a healthcare example for defensive listening. We see the doctor is just asking for results to the test that he has asked for, but Sarah, the lab technician, is a defensive listener and thinks that the doctor is verbally attacking her for not getting the results to him on time.
Ambushing. The listener is listening carefully to the speaker in order to gather information to use against the speaker when they are finished speaking.
This is an example in healthcare of ambushing. The doctor is asking the surgeon about him being sick, and the surgeon replies with the fact that he wasn't actually sick. This is ambushing because the doctor is gathering information about the surgeon that he can possibly use at a later time to get the surgeon in trouble.
Insensitive listening. These type of listeners take the speaker's word at face value. They don't take into consideration the words not being spoken and behavior being exhibited, that perhaps the speaker is communicating more than the words that are actually spoken.
This is an example of insensitive listening in healthcare. The one surgeon is broken up by the loss of a patient, but the other surgeon is insensitive to what she is saying and doesn't recognize that she is hurt by the loss.
Now that we've discussed types of ineffective listening, how can you be an effective listener? Effective listening is when the listener takes the message in, interprets it, and responds appropriately. One approach to effective listening is the latter's approach. L. Look at the person you are talking with and use your body language to express your interest in the subject. A. Ask pertinent questions and make relevant comments after the speaker has finished what he or she is saying. D. Don't interrupt or allow yourself to become distracted. D. Don't change the subject. E. Emotions should be kept under control. Try to identify with the speaker. R. Respond appropriately to words and underlying meanings. And finally, S. Slow down your thoughts and concentrate on what the speaker is trying to convey.